Tomorrow morning, when you wake up and walk into the kitchen, you'll open the fridge. You'll grab milk, eggs, or maybe a box of cereal. You'll eat it in minutes. But the real answer to what humans were meant to eat for breakfast is far stranger, and it's buried deep in the teeth of our ancestors. Forget cereal commercials, smoothie bowls, and breakfast ads. For 99.9% of human history, breakfast looked nothing like that. It didn't come from a farm or a refrigerator. It came from the ground, the trees, and sometimes from the leftovers of a previous hunt. Here's the surprising truth. Your ancient ancestors probably ate a breakfast that would make most modern people cringe. It was fibrous, bitter, dirty, and took a long time to chew. Yet it helped build the brain that made us human. To understand why, we need to travel back 2 million years to East Africa. The sun rises over the savannah. A group of early humans wakes hungry. They have no farms, no grocery stores, and no kitchens. What do? They dig.
Using their hands and simple sticks, they search for underground storage organs, tubers, roots, and bulbs. These were the true breakfast foods of our lineage. They contained starch, water, and calories. They weren't delicious, but they were reliable. And reliability mattered more than flavor. Research by Dr. Amanda Henry at the Max Planck Institute examined microscopic wear patterns on fossilized teeth. The scratches and pits didn't match the diet of a dedicated meat eater. Instead, they showed evidence of hard, gritty plant foods. Roots pulled from the soil carry sand and grit, leaving distinctive marks on enamel. The conclusion was simple. Many early humans relied heavily on underground plants. Breakfast was often a dirt-covered root. But there was a problem. Raw tubers are tough and difficult to digest. Some even contain toxins. That's where fire changed everything.
Dr. Richard Wrangham's cooking hypothesis argues that controlling fire transformed human evolution. Cooking turned hard roots into soft, calorie-rich foods that were easier to chew and digest. Instead of spending hours processing food with their jaws, humans could absorb more energy with less effort. A typical morning meal may have included roasted tubers, nuts, seeds, and even insects like termites. Evidence from sites such as Olduvai Gorge suggests diets rich in wild plants and starches long before agriculture existed. One of the strongest pieces of evidence comes from dental calculus, the hardened plaque found on ancient teeth. Dr. Christina Warner and other researchers have discovered microscopic traces of grasses, tubers, and cooked starches trapped inside plaque tens of thousands of years old. These tiny particles provide direct evidence that ancient humans regularly consumed cooked plant foods.
Think about that. Your breakfast might take 5 minutes. Their breakfast could take hours. First, they found the food, then they cleaned it, cooked it, and chewed it extensively. Human jaws evolved to grind tough, fibrous foods. They weren't designed for highly processed cereals and pastries. And that's why this story matters today. Your digestive system is still built from that evolutionary history. Your gut microbiome, stomach, and metabolism developed around whole foods that released energy slowly. Modern sugary breakfasts deliver calories quickly, spike blood sugar, and often leave people hungry again a few hours later. Ancient breakfasts weren't designed for convenience. They were designed for survival. People ate together. They shared food around a fire. Morning meals helped fuel a demanding day of gathering, traveling, and social cooperation. The solitary breakfast, eaten in a hurry at a desk or in a car, would have seemed bizarre to our ancestors. Stable isotope studies add another piece to the puzzle. By analyzing chemical signatures preserved in fossilized bones, scientists can estimate the types of plants early humans consumed. Many hominins show evidence of diets based heavily on C4 plants and their roots. In other words, breakfast often came from the ground. Far from being apex predators, our ancestors spent much of their time foraging for dependable food sources. Roots, tubers, seeds, and occasional animal foods formed the foundation of daily life. As Homo sapiens spread across the world, breakfast changed with geography. Coastal populations added seafood. Cold climate groups relied more on animal fat. But one pattern remained remarkably consistent. Meals provided slow, sustained energy, rather than quick bursts of sugar. And this brings us back to cooking. According to Wrangham, cooking may be one of the defining technologies that made us human. A roasted tuber contains more usable energy than a raw one.
That extra energy helped support larger brains. Larger brains enabled better tools, stronger social bonds, and more complex cultures. In a sense, civilization began with a cooked breakfast. So, what did ancient humans actually eat? Roots roasted in ash, wild nuts cracked with stones, seeds, insects, occasionally marrow from bones. What they generally did not eat was milk. Most adults throughout human history were lactose intolerant. The ability to digest milk into adulthood only became common within the last several thousand years. That bowl of cereal and milk is a very recent invention.
Modern nutrition research points in an interesting direction as well. Studies have shown that lower glycemic breakfasts, foods that release energy slowly, can improve attention, memory, and cognitive performance compared to highly sugary alternatives. In other words, the ancient breakfast may have been closer to what our brains still perform best on. So, tomorrow morning, when you walk into the kitchen, think about the roots. Think about the fire. Think about the millions of years of evolution that shaped your body long before supermarkets existed. That history suggests something simple. Slow down. Eat whole foods. Give your body fuel that lasts. You don't need to dig up roots from the backyard. A bowl of oatmeal, a roasted sweet potato, some nuts, eggs, or other minimally processed foods will do just fine. Because somewhere deep inside you is a fire-taming, root-digging hominid whose breakfast helped build the modern human brain. And perhaps the most ancient thing you can do tomorrow morning is not eat faster, but eat slower. Take your time. Chew. Share a meal with someone if you can. Because for most of human history, breakfast wasn't a product. It was a ritual. And long before cereal boxes and advertisements, it was the meal that helped make us human.